Like,
Yep.
look, at the end of the day, I think when the Casemiro, Kroos, Modric era is over, which there can only be so many years left. I wouldn't be surprised if like after this year, Modric and Kroos are done, and then Casemiro is still he's 30-ish, so he probably still has a good few years. But after that era is done, I think the midfield is going to look a lot more like Valverde slide into the middle with Camavinga and Chouameni. And those are three young dudes with a high work rate, very physical, and they all have really good quality on the ball. So I think, as the season progresses, we're going to see those players get a lot more protagonism and start to take the role of the greatest midfield trio of all time.
It's midfield trio of all time. So who slides to the right if Valverde goes into the middle?
I think Rodrigo,
Because I don't
like
think anyone provides what Valverde provides now. He's a more experienced player. He has one of the highest work rates on that team, if not the highest. So I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have Valverde in the middle. I think at the end of the day he should be, but right now I don't know what options you would have going forward if he isn't there.
I think they're trying to prime Rodrigo for that role. I don't know if he's a 90-minute every game starter yet. Because like Valverde, he's great on the right wing, but he's in truth, like his true
Yeah.
position is a center mid. It just so happens to be the fact that he's the most dynamic option that can put in like a full 90-minute shift and you can trust him, every game. And he also has great quality and great service. And like you mentioned, his work rate is off the charts.
The other thing though with Valverde is that he has no problem streaking back down the field to help defend, and
He got a
with
third lung, man.
I know, but what I'm saying is with someone like Carvajal on still your starting right back, Valverde helped him a lot last year in terms of defense because, Carvajal is starting to get burned down the wing more. His lungs aren't there as much as they used to be. So not having someone that's going to track back and help on the right, I think could be a big blow if you lose Valverde on the wing.
No, it definitely could. And I've even seen, like, I'm pretty sure Zidane even used Valverde as a right back, as a makeshift right back in his last season with Madrid when we had all those injuries all of across our defense. So, like, having Valverde there gives you a lot of security. But
Yeah.
the other thing, since we're on the topic of Madrid and going into the new season, so you got no faith in Hazard, huh?
What reason has he given people to have faith in him? What
He
good
said
reason?
so. He
He
promised us.
said so. There
He
was a season
promised
where
us.
he was fat for a soccer player. He's not as explosive as he
Yeah, but
used
he
to.
promised us this
But
season.
he promised us he's not as explosive as he used to be. His attack isn't there. His vision isn't what it used to be. It just over the years, it looks like, he's just not a guy you want on the field, and not just for Madrid. I think any big club would be happy to pass on him, especially now after seeing what he's done over the last 2-3 years. There was last season he barely played. Same with the season before. When he first got there, you guys tried to force him into the lineup for almost half the season, and it was you were frustrated with him. I know you were. I was loving it, but he just, why would you? Why would you
I
believe in that guy?
look, you're right that there's no market for him right now in the sense that, his value has declined
And
every
he's
year.
older. He's
Yeah,
older
he's
now.
old. He's past his prime essentially now. He's like 30 years old, I'm pretty sure. But the fact of the matter is, have you seen any of the preseason Madrid games? Like, yeah, Hazard has lost a step in terms of pace. And when he was at Chelsea, his greatest quality was his explosion. He can
Yep.
explode into space and just burn defenders in his first 2-3 steps. That was what made him great. But he's also a very technically skilled player. He does look sharper.
A lot of that
The
technicality though was dependent on his
No,
explosivity.
I agree. He won't be the effective, what he used to be, dribble all the way down the left side, cut into the right for the finish. But he does have a high soccer IQ and he does know how to pick out good passes. I think there could be a role for him in some type of like pocket position or attacking midfield position, not on the wing, to be more just like a key to unlock defenses rather than to be the guy that, because the dribbling role on Madrid is Vinny now. Vinny is the king dribbler. Like if anyone has the right to take on a defender 1v1, like 20 times in a game, it's Vinny. No one's gonna complain at him for doing that because he's proved it. And so that role has been taken from Hazard by Vinny. But I do think he could be a quality player, a different player than he was previously, but he could still fit into this team for the year if he can stay healthy, which is the big if, obviously.
The reason I still disagree with that is because, you know, because of Ronaldo's time at Madrid, you now have Benzema, who's not only a great number nine, but he can drop to the mid, create plays. He's become with his time with Ronaldo, because Ronaldo had to be the guy to score in Ronaldo's mind. Um, he had to become a different role. He had to be create different skills that he's going to use to help create, passes down the wings, even holding up in tight spaces. He has like a lot of like very small touches and passes that, some people might miss, but they're key to the build-up plays that Madrid has. And I don't think there's any way that Benzema gets replaced by someone like Hazard. If you're going to replace Benzema, or at least bring someone in with the prospect of replacing Hazard in the future, Benzema in the future, it's going to have to be someone
I'm not talking
younger.
about replacing Benzema.
I know,
Benzema
but
is,
what
is
I'm
the
saying is
guy.
you can't put him in that role if you already have Benzema, who already occupies that role, and he does it great when he comes back into the second third of the field, creates going down, and then he makes great runs going up. So he kind of fills both roles as a striker and as a creative player that can drop into the middle.
No, yeah, the beauty of Benzema is, yeah, like he's extremely mobile. He can pop up at any side of the attack. He has the license to have a free role on
Yeah,
the team because of his quality, and he has all like the little intangible. Like he's a footballer's footballer, like the just
sure.
technique, intelligence. He's so good and so precise with everything he does. I'm not saying that Hazard could replace that role. I get your point that with Benzema already dropping deep to pick up passes, sometimes like that pocket position that I was talking about might not be as available. But like I'm talking kind of in you know, the way that Modric plays an advanced midfield, and he's more the link up play. He's not the guy that's dribbling two defenders and then taking the shot or whipping it across. He's just like a player that knows kind of where to be, where the pockets are, and how to pick a pass. I think that's going to end up having to be Hazard's role.
Would you drop him into the actual three in the mid?
No, I don't think his work rate on defense is high enough,
True.
which is I guess another strike against him. But honestly, so I think after the cup, which I agree, you got to play with the OGs. Like you got to get the dub. After that, in my opinion, the greatest lineup. I think the defense largely has to stay the same. I actually prefer Militao to stay in as a center back with Alaba and make Rudiger fight for a spot. And I would keep Carvajal right back for this year and Mendy left back. And then honestly, our starting midfield trio, I think Modric has to start because he's Modric's Madrid legend, Ballon d'Or winner, and he's still got it, man. He's still freaking got it. And then after that, it's gonna have to be Camavinga, and I think Chouameni and Casemiro are going to be fighting for that more holding position. And then the front three is going to be
Right.
Valverde, Vinny, Benzema to start the season. However, I do think, if Rodrigo continues to play at a really high level and he reaches the level where he's ready to be a starter, because as right now, like all the Madrid player fans love him because he was so epic in the Champions League and scored so many important goals. But there's a difference between being an impact player off the bench than being a 90-minute player that's going to put in the work rate for the entire game. So I think he just needs to develop up into that level. Once he can do that, someone's going to have to drop on the bench in the middle for Valverde. Because, dude, Valverde is my favorite player right now in Madrid. Not going to lie.
Sure. Now, when it comes to your defense, we've discussed this before. Um, I think it might not be the worst idea to, just because of how versatile he is and how many positions he can play. Uh, m- I think that Alaba is largely responsible for Militao's improvement in the center.
100%, 100%.
I don't think there's anyone can deny that because
No,
Militao, I used to I used to kind of chuckle when he
bro.
would come onto the field or if someone got hurt and he would have to come on as a sub. Him and Nacho.
Nah,
Nacho
his
was
first
my
season, Militao was kind of a
Nacho
disaster.
Nacho was my favorite dude.
Nah, but
Um,
people talk shit about Nacho. He's the company man. He gets
fine.
the job done.
Fine, but what would you think about Militao and Rudiger and then sliding Alaba to right back? Because he has more pace than Carvajal. He's a better defender. He's a better attacker. I think he's just a better player. And he is versatile. I get that he's a lefty, but he's still a very versatile player. And Militao, I think, improved largely because of Alaba's ability to lead and direct. But Rudiger also has that. And don't forget that 2 years ago, he won a Champions League with Chelsea. So it's not like he's not a top quality center back that can lead a back line.
First, when he won with Chelsea, they were in a back three. Ancelotti plays with a back
Sure.
four, and then I have heard a lot of people say the starting back line should be Alaba, Rudiger, Militao, Carvajal. So in a vacuum, Alaba is the best left back that we have on our squad. In a vacuum, I but
I don't
but
think I think you should keep Mendy and I think you should put Alaba on the right.
uh,
I
I
get that
don't.
he's a lefty, but he's better than Carvajal in almost every way.
But my main issue with moving Alaba out the middle is that I feel like the leadership that he shows in the center back pairing is going to be a huge miss. Like Militao, he's had a great season, Um, I don't think he's a leader yet. And Rudiger,
Rudiger's a
he
leader.
Rudiger is older, he has more experience, and he does have Champions League pedigree, which is true. But I don't know, dude. Alaba is like already, so ingrained and loved by the fans, and I think everyone just trusts him in the middle. I would rather if you were going to move Alaba and put Rudiger and Militao as the center back, I would rather have Alaba play like CDM in front of them. That's how I would if you were going to move him, I think that would be better.
I don't disagree, especially with, Casemiro getting a little older, even though Alaba's not young either. They're actually about the same age. But in terms of, yeah, a leadership, yeah, honestly, that might work better just because of his leadership skills. And he's going to have two very young midfielders playing in front of him in short order. Like you said, after this year, who knows whether Modric and Cruz are going to stay. Cruz might have to become a sub that comes on in the later minutes or is just a 60-minute player.
I could
Um,
see I could see this season being, all the OGs passing the baton to the next generation. And honestly, the
and they've
way the
all had a
kind
good run. They've
the
all had a great run with Madrid, so I don't think they'd have any problem doing that.
yeah, and the way, you know, I'm sure like this couldn't have been 100% planned, but just the way that Real Madrid's current situation, right? So we had the legendary three in a row, which was like 5 years ago. Then we had a
Two
2 year
offsides.
then we had a 2 year drought where Chelsea won and then Bayern won, I believe. And then that's like when these young players started coming into the squad, and to win the Champions League in the way that they did under the mentorship of the older
Yeah,
players is like it's the perfect transition in order like for these young players. And they've already had now a taste of winning the Champions League, which is what Real Madrid is basically all about. So I'm excited, man. Even though we only made two signings, I'll count Hazard as a half signing, so two and a half signings.
he wasn't the
And
signing of the summer, dude.
I have a little faith that Hazard's gonna play well. He's not gonna be a superstar, but he'll have his role. But yeah, man, I'm excited for this season for Madrid. I think we're gonna run it back in the Liga. And bro, I hate people putting Liverpool and Man City already as the favorites for the Champions League. These dudes got people have no respect, man. No freaking respect. Just because they play in the Premier League, they got no respect.
I don't think it's just because they play in the Premier League. They have strong squads. They do. And
They do have great teams,
what
but
I will say though is, you have, and it sucks to, well, I mean, at least for me, it sucks to say for Man City, Uh, Kind of heartbreaking just because, I love Pep just because, he's what turned Barca around before, Bartomeu drove it back into the ground. Um, just you have teams like Man City and PSG that just always are so hyped up, get a decent way in, and then
That's what
just
I'm
choke,
saying. How
and
can
then
they be
just
the
choke.
That's what I'm saying. How can you be the favorite? At least Liverpool has won the Champions League before. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Even though
no, I
Klopp is a
agree.
serial loser in finals, but at least they've won the Champions League under Klopp. Guardiola is he's always the favorite. Same with PSG at the beginning of every season, and they choke. There's some choke jobs. Put some
Yeah, I don't know
respect
how it
on the
happens, man.
champion.
I don't know how that keeps happening, dude. Like it blows my mind how they just constantly choke, and it doesn't make sense to me. It just, if you like, on paper, it does not make sense. Uh
You know why it makes sense though? Because bro, like it's a knockout game. So in a knockout, like
but it's still two
it
legs.
yes, but the thing is like you can't plan everything for a knockout. There has to
That's
be
true.
some resilience in your players to be able to adapt to bad situations and rebound. And that's the one thing like Guardiola just wants to coach every last millimeter of his players, but then when things don't go according to plan, his players panic. You could dude, in the semifinal versus Madrid, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
bro, it was Man City was up by 2 goals. And then when Rodrigo scored the first goal in the 90th minute, dude, the
Dude,
body language on the players, they just
bruh,
collapsed.
as soon
Everyone knew it was a comeback as soon as the first goal went in.
yeah, I don't know how Madrid constantly does this. They're always losing in the 85th plus, and then somehow either tie or win. I don't know. That also makes no sense to me. And yeah, dude,
It's intangibles, bro. You can't coach everything.
as soon as Madrid scored the 90th minute goal, I was like, here we fucking go again. I was just like, come on, dude. Like, there's no way. And then
Dude,
yeah,
there's certain
and then once it was a tie, it was like, well, Madrid just won the game. Even like when they were going to, oh, it was like Madrid won the game already at that point.
yeah, but it's not like but Man City has choked against even lesser teams than that. They've choked against teams from the French league, like
Yeah,
freaking like I think Monaco knocked them out back in the day when Mbappe was on Monaco. They lost to either Lyon or Marseille a couple of years back too. Like this doesn't only happen when they play against great teams. It happens consistently.
yeah. Well, I mean, Man City has Holland now, and
That's true.
he scored two in his debut. They had been lacking a true striker since Aguero. And even in Aguero's last year or two, he was still good and he'd still get like a decent amount of goals, but he wasn't the player he used to be. Now you have a player like Holland, and I don't know. I still don't know what to expect. I think it's either going to be a terrible bust or a great success. I don't think there's going to be an in between. But, he bagged 2 goals in his debut. He could have scored a hat trick. He made a comment in the post game. I don't know if it was in the interview, but he made a comment post game saying, he was disappointed that he only scored two, which shows a lot of determination for a young kid
He
putting a
had a
huge
chance for
load.
a Hattie. He missed a
That's
chance
what I'm
for a
saying.
Hattie.
That's what I'm saying. Putting a big load on his shoulders, and he's hungry for it. So we'll see. He is a great striker, at least he has been. So, we'll see how he does this year. And, maybe he's just that missing piece up top, because what happens a lot with City is that, they get into that final third, but they don't have that one guy, that one finisher in the final third to, just put all the chances away.
Now, Holland could be an X factor, but City still ain't winning. Put some respect on the champion.